Hello and welcome to today's episode. So it was a big week this week with the first round of fixtures in the last 16 of the Champions League to get that one right. Some pretty big matchups. Atletico versus Chelsea. We had City, Mönchengladbach, Lazio, Bayern, and of course Atalanta, Real. Ryan, which of the matches did you see? Which one caught your eye?
I think the real glamour tie on paper there is obviously Atletico against Chelsea. Unfortunately, never really lived up to the billing. Atletico have been lauded for playing a more positive brand of football this season, but they seem to kind of return to their old ways in these big games. And certainly from what I saw, it was Chelsea were the team that were kind of constantly getting behind, getting all the chances. And I think we're probably rightfully rewarded for that with obviously the Giroud goal late on, and what a goal it was.
It was a cracker, yeah. I watched the first half and I think I messaged you and was like, this game is a complete drag. And then I checked the Lazio Bayern score and it was like 3-0 or something. So I kind of switched over to that one. I ended up missing the Giroud goal. Did you see the game, Scott?
I seen bits of the first half, and basically, as you said, I didn't think it was actually living up to as it should have on paper. And I kind of thought, this is going to finish 0-0. I'm not going to bother watching the second half. So I didn't. I've actually not even seen Giroud's goal, but I have heard that it was a very good goal. But
yeah.
I mean, Atletico Chelsea doesn't, especially with Tuchel in charge now, it doesn't shout out goals anyway. The fact that Tuchel's more a defensive sort of counter-attacking manager, and Simeone is built around that same base as well. But I still expected a better game than I was watching.
I thought both teams were kind of, in the first half, they're kind of trying things. Because like it was good to see Hudson-Odoi back in the team after he got the hook at the weekend.
The substitute got substituted, yeah.
Yeah, there was a few times in the opening half hour where especially Mount was trying to find him kind of in behind the fullback with a few balls and stuff. Like they were trying things, and it kind of seemed almost like both teams were sort of like feeling each other out. Because I know Atletico haven't had a couple of the results have been poor lately, even though they are at the top of the Liga. So it's sort of it wasn't a great first half, but I could kind of see what the teams are doing. But I don't know. It was always going to be a goal. Like it was always going to take a Giroud, like a wonder goal from someone, like a moment of brilliance. I think to break the deadlock, because it did look destined for 0-0. The goal was given as offside, though, wasn't it, Ryan? Initially.
See, this is where we literally switch back over as the reviewing the goal. I'm not sure, was it for offside or was Giroud meant to have handballed it?
I thought it was offside because it looks like, is it Hermoso? I can't remember.
Hermoso, yeah.
Yeah, him and a Chelsea player both go for the ball, and the cross comes in, I think, and they go for the ball and it loops over for Giroud to hit. And from the first react, like when I watched it, I was like, oh, it's definitely offside. Giroud's standing clearly offside. And then they ended up pulling it back and looking at it for a minute or two. And like the same camera angle they were showing, you were kind of like, oh, that is offside. It is offside. And then they showed another camera angle from like looking like facing on the goals. And like it was clear that the boy Hermoso had like touched it over, and then you were just kind of like, oh, it's obviously a goal then. And then the ref was sort of the same after like 3 minutes of review, and he was just like, oh, that's a great camera angle. Why didn't you show me that in the first place? Goal. But do you think they can get the job done in the home leg, Chelsea?
Yeah, I think Tuchel set them.
Didn't it sound so convinced?
I'm not going to lie. I genuinely think it could be 0-0 again in this. Like, it could genuinely finish 1-0 in aggregate. These two, I just think that they're struggling from that first match, from what I've seen anyway, they were struggling to break each other down. And I suppose that's two good defences shutting each other's attacking options down. But
yeah,
I will say I don't see the winner or a finalist of the Champions League coming out of this tie.
It's a fair point.
Although Atletico are having a very good league season, as you say, they've kind of faltered a little bit over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just checked it there. The stat was that Tuesday night was the 8th game in a row that Atletico Madrid have conceded a goal, which is the longest continuous run without a clean sheet since Simeone took charge. So it kind of gives a bit of context to what we're saying, I suppose.
Because how long's he been in charge now? 5, 6?
Since 2011.
2011, yeah.
Oh, is it as long as that?
Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't know it was. I thought it was only like 6 seasons or something.
It's like an eternity in modern football.
Well, 10 years is quite something.
Especially in
funny you should
Spanish
say that,
football.
Alistair. I was reading a very interesting article, and I'm sure it did literally say he is now the longest, current European manager, etc., etc.
Longest serving manager.
Yeah, that's the one, Scott. Yeah.
Like in the top leagues or something, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember there was a stat came out last year for Scottish football anyway, of like the manager positions and who's been in it longest. And you had 2 managers that had been in it for ages, and then everyone else was like 1 year, 6 months. It was ridiculous. The only 2 was the Peterhead manager, Jim McInally, who'd been there for about 8 years, still is there, so that will be 9 now, and Derek McInnes at Aberdeen.
Oh, jeez,
Yeah.
Aberdeen can't get rid of McKinnon. Because we mentioned the game, I'll jump onto it, the Lazio Bayern one. The only thing I was going to say is when I watched the game, when I was flicking between it, I think Lazio didn't look that bad, even though they were lost 4-1. Like, they gifted Lewandowski the first goal. But the one thing I noticed was that Jamal Musiala, who's just picked Germany over England, which I don't know about you, but I won't lose any sleep over that. He scored a cracking goal, and he looks some player. Like, at 17, he's playing in that Thomas Müller role, and he was playing it to perfection.
I mean, he's going to learn for the best, isn't he? to play that role. Müller can teach him everything he knows. I've heard of that Musiala boy before. Like, I think last season he was making the odd bench appearance, and everyone was talking about this guy breaking through at Bayern. But it's not till this season that he's actually been getting decent enough game time. And as you say, it was a nice goal, and he had a good game.
Second youngest scorer
overall as well.
Second youngest scorer in Champions League history now. Bojan's the youngest. He's the second youngest.
What, after Rooney?
No, Bojan.
Is Rooney's the youngest?
No, it's Bojan.
No? Is it Bojan? Was Rooney the youngest hat-trick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Musiala, but I was reading the thing that there was a player this week who was the youngest to assist in a European game since Mbappe. And I'm sure it was the young boy for Spurs, actually. Yeah, ignore me, sorry.
Thank you for that very interesting segue, Ryan.
You're most welcome. That's what I'm here for, mate.
Plus, that's not Champions League.
Yeah. Well, it was played on Tuesday, so it might have been as well as being a Champions League game.
No, it wasn't. It was playing
That's
Wednesday.
what I said, Wednesday.
Ryan, as the resident Man City fan, would you like to give us your in-depth weekly analysis of their performance against Mönchengladbach?
Oh, certainly, Alistair, as a proud citizen. Let me get right on that for you. I'll just quickly say, I think that the second leg of the Lazio game will be worth watching, because obviously Lazio love to go for it. I think the best thing that can happen in the Chelsea game is an early goal, because obviously if Chelsea go 2-0 up, like Atletico will need to chase it, and Atletico get it, then at least it would hopefully make the game a bit more open. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to Man City. Yeah, I mean, I think I was saying to you, Alistair, this is one of the weirdest games of football I've ever watched. City were so dominant, and I don't know if it was the occasion or the fact they were playing such an informed Man City team, but Gladbach just seemed completely overwhelmed by the occasion. They kept trying to pass out from the back and just kept constantly giving the ball away. They were just so poor, and City were just relentless. I suppose the one criticism is it was only 2-0, but yeah, City were completely on top. But despite that, despite Gladbach's poor play, Gladbach did get into some very promising positions, but again, just kept wasting it. So yeah, it was a very strange game. And much like Sterling scoring a header at the weekend, it was Bernardo Silva, another, he's not exactly a 6'5" centre back scoring a header, so that just tells you all you need to know.
I think, I don't know if it really played a big part, but maybe the fact that it wasn't at Mönchengladbach's ground.
Yeah.
I don't know, especially with no fans. I don't know how big that plays. With if there was supposed to be fans, yeah, it's a massive disadvantage to them.
They were the second highest scoring team in the group stages after Bayern. They were on 16 goals.
Yeah, did they know they put like 4 or 5 past Real Madrid? Did they know one of their games?
Yeah. But then I'm sure they sort of did enough early on in their group stage, because I'm sure they lost the last 2 group games and then been on a great run in the league like recently. So yeah, the last thing you want to do is go into a game against this Man City team not in form. So
everybody. So the stat that I saw was actually I was going to say City have only conceded 9 shots on target in their last 4 away games in the Champions League. So you were saying that Mönchengladbach got themselves into promising areas. That kind of negates the point I was going to make, which was that City got another clean sheet and that sort of solid defence.
Well, I mean, you're probably not entirely wrong, because I mean, maybe obviously Gladbach got into these promising positions, but then they're like, oh wait, this is the team that's conceded like 6 goals in the last 18 games or something, like, and they just maybe froze and panicked. Like maybe that explains it. I really don't know it. Like I say, it was just a very strange game.
Where was the game played? Because it wasn't in
It was played in Hungary.
Yeah, Budapest, I think.
Was it the Puskás Arena or something?
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys make of that? I mean, obviously it's kind of needs must, and I know for me personally, I'd rather have the games on than not. But I mean, in terms of, surely you just have it as a one-off game in like the neutral venue. It's kind of unfair, obviously. Atletico, Gladbach, Leipzig, we've all had to play their home games not at home.
I mean, on you go, Scott.
No, I was just going to say it's one of these things right now. Would you rather? They're probably getting told, look, you're still going to get your cut for getting two legs out of a tie, even whether you're not getting the home leg or not. So I think they've probably been told, as it's UEFA with money, they've probably been told, look, you're either doing 2 legs or you're not playing at all. So it was probably a non-negotiable for all these teams that are having to play against like a British team that they're not allowed. Like say Man City or Man United weren't allowed to go to Spain or Germany to come back again, yet they're allowed to come to the UK. So it was a bit weird, but yeah, I think they've probably just been told, look, you can only play 2, otherwise you're handing the tie to whoever you're playing.
Yeah, I said to you before, Ryan. I'm not a particular fan of the fact that they're playing international tournaments at the moment. Like in general, I think, but I agree. Like I think it should at least be a one-off game. I think the 2 games and having the teams travel back and forward and stuff, it just flies in the face of the current regulations. But that's an argument for another day, I suppose. So one thing I was going to say is I saw Clinton Morrison on the BBC saying that he thinks City will do the quadruple. I kind of want to see them do it just to see like what level of trigger Ryan can get to before he just erupts on the pod. But I think they might get to the final this year. I think they're looking as good as they have done. And kind of like you're saying with Rangers earlier, Ryan, if they can wrap the league up, how does that play into it? So, don't know what you think.
I think Ryan's level of trigger would have went through the roof had Celtic also then got 10. I think the saving grace for Ryan this season is the fact that Rangers have won the league pretty much.
He'd be sitting there clutching his 2008 Carling Rangers top like, we did it, boys, we're back. And I'll phone you, be like, Ryan, did you see City won the league? And he'll be like, shut up.
I beg your pardon, son. I've got a Rangers top this season. No. If the Rovers can make the playoffs at worst and Rangers can win the title, then I can sleep easy at night.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or easier.
Do you think City can win the Champions League, or do you think they will win it? Though that's the kind of.
I think I know this is such a cop-out answer, and it is, but I think it very much depends who they draw. If they were to get a Bayern in the next round, I would have to fancy Bayern. But if they get favourable draws, then I don't see why not. The form they're in, I don't see why any team, or I don't see why they should fear any team given the way they're playing at the moment. And as you were saying, if they get the league wrapped up, then obviously they can afford to rotate a bit more there and just stay fresh for the Champions League. So I don't see why they're not. It's definitely their best chance since Pep took over. But as I say, I think it very much depends on the draw.
Yeah, I'd say.
I think you were saying about, I agree that it is depending on who they draw, but at the same time, when you get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, you very rarely are going to come up against someone and go, oh, I'd rather take them because they're the easy option.
That's fair. I think everybody wants to avoid Bayern because they're like the reigning champs. Like, I get what you mean. Like, you do get to a certain point where there are no mugs, and actually, to be honest, that could have been what did City in last year because they drew Lyon and thought they were
they probably got the better tie, they thought.
And it ended up scuppering them. So, to be fair, I don't think Guardiola would allow that mindset to creep in. I think he'd do it anyway, but certainly after last year, he won't be going for it.
I mean, far be it from me to sound like a butthurt Man United fan, but I feel like the last 16 is quite a janky lineup. Like, no disrespect to Leipzig, but I mean, if Man United in there, it's an immediately stronger field. I don't know, that's just me.
But they're not, unfortunately.
They're not. Yeah.
Any comments on the Madrid-Atalanta game? The only thing I have to say is that it was a bit of a cracker from Mendy to win it, like good finish, but I didn't watch the game, so I can't really comment otherwise.
I would say...
Sorry, you go, Scott.
No. I didn't really see much of the game, but I was more surprised that Madrid got a result out of the game, considering I know Atalanta went down to 10 men in the first half, but I still think Atalanta didn't play to their potential anyway, and Madrid had, what was it, something like 10 first team players weren't there?
Oh, really? Jeez.
Oh, their bench, I think I recognised one name on the bench. It was Mariano, I think it was on the bench. The rest were all kids. It was all like 16, 17-year-olds from their academy that filled the bench. And I mean, they still had Courtois in net, but it was a severely depleted Real Madrid lineup. And as I say, I think everybody was a bit surprised that Madrid came out with a win in that game. However, 10 men, I suppose, made it slightly easier for them.
Mm-hmm. Did they play last year?
When I look,
Madrid-Atalanta, was that one of the knockout ties last year? I can't remember.
Atalanta got to the knockout round, but I'm trying to remember.
Someone listening will know. Drop us a comment and tell us.
I'm going to say that it was Bayern that knocked them out, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, someone in the comment section will know. But it sounded when I read the scoreline or the tie, I was like, sure that happened last year.
I've seen this before.
But then the last year feels like one big blur. So
no, I was just going to say, I mean, when I looked at that fixture when the draw was made, I was like, that just screams goals, because Atalanta love to attack. I'm sure they're like the top scorers, definitely in Serie A, maybe in Europe.
Yeah. So what you're saying then is that you Scott Fleminged it by saying there would be goals.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I mean, I thought it, I didn't actually say it, but yeah, apparently that was enough for the Fleming to take effect. And obviously Real Madrid aren't, can't defend for toffee, so... So yeah, I was certainly expecting goals in this one. Maybe the red card changes things. Obviously, a good result for Real, but I mean, with 10 men, you'd like to think they could have got a few more, so the tie very much alive.
It is, yeah, it is. So switching gears from the games that happened to some of the kind of broader topic, and that's the news that Dortmund have intimated that due to their poor league form this season, potentially not being in the Champions League, plus the cost of COVID, that they may be willing to sell or maybe forced to sell 2 or 3 of their big names in summer. So obviously that includes the likes of Haaland, Sancho, other names that are thrown in there, Giovanni Reina, Rafael Guerrero. I know Axel Witsel is big on the wage bill. So the question, I'll throw it at yourself, Ryan, first is, do you think Haaland will move? And if so, where do you think he'll go?
So I believe he's got a contract to 2022, or certainly there's a clause in the contract that means he can leave for 65 million then.
Yeah.
However, if, as we're saying, Dortmund were to miss out on Champions League football, I think probably from his personal sort of motivations and obviously the club must need to sell, I think he probably would move on. And I saw an interview with is it Raiola, his agent.
Oh, is he his agent? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah, just another one.
All I'm saying, right,
and he was quite.
All I'm saying, Ryan, is if Raiola is his agent, he's not waiting until next year for 65 million if he can cash in on over 100 somewhere.
Yeah. Although like Raiola was saying, and I think quite rightfully, that there's obviously only a handful of teams that can even afford them. Because whilst you're going to get them at a cut price because Dortmund need money, I still think you're going to have to pay like a considerable sum. And obviously, very few football teams are immune to current circumstances, so that obviously limits the number of teams that can even afford them.
Mm-hmm. Scotty, what do you think? I know his dad's friends with Solskjaer. They played for the Norwegian team, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, and I saw.
No, on you go.
No, just a very quick thing. I saw a thing this week where Solskjaer was saying, "I keep in touch with Haaland, so make it that way, Will."
Fair enough. I mean, he was born in Leeds, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So, come back if he goes back to England to the Prem, he's going back home essentially. But I mean, was it? I might be wrong with the figure, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that Dortmund were saying about 100 million for Reina and Haaland as a deal. And to me, if somebody even just said 100 million for Haaland in today's market, I don't think it's stupid. Like, I just don't understand how it's almost then getting Reina on a free, basically, if you look at it that way.
Yeah,
and Reina's this up-and-coming star that, was it, he's sort of number 10 roles, Reina, but can play it wide, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think he play anywhere across the front of the midfield.
If a team snapped them up for 100 million for the two of them, I think they're laughing. But I think somebody like Man City should go in for Haaland, purely the fact that Aguero, his injuries are hampering his career currently, but also just he's getting no younger, and the fact that Pep still isn't trusting Jesus to be every game his striker kind of speaks volumes. I think that he clearly doesn't trust him to be the number 9 that he wants there consistently. Because Aguero, when he was in the peak of his career, was playing week in, week out, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, when it was European football. And then he'd go away with Argentina and play as well. So I don't know if it's a trust issue where he thinks he's... I don't think he doesn't think he's a good player, Jesus. I just don't think he thinks he's there to be there all season long, basically. And
Jesus isn't gonna fire you to Aguero type 5 titles in 10 years sort of thing,
And Haaland's gonna score goals for any team. Like the way he's been in his career so far, he was scoring so many goals for Salzburg when he was right at the start of his career. So I don't see, if you give him service, he's going to put the ball in the back of the net no matter who he's playing for. So and if City were to get him, I think you might as well have just give them the title again next season.
I could just see it like Ryan again, just like, please no. Jeez, if they sign Haaland, they might win the title for the next 10 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, City's definitely, like, whenever Haaland's mentioned, it seems to be the first name mentioned as well, like alongside him. I guess my only thing would be that whether it's as a result it needs must, because obviously Aguero hasn't been fit, and as Scott was saying, he doesn't seem to fully trust Jesus. At times, Pep's been like not even playing with a recognised striker. Now, as I say, whether that's what he wants to be doing or it's just a case of like needs must, I don't know. But that's just another thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Haaland's I think he's gonna want to move to a top team. He seems to have that desire.
Well, that rules City out then.
Well, now that we've got the small teams out the way for you, Ryan, Sancho to Man United is going to happen. Because I heard Dortmund might even cut the price, because the price was the big issue last summer. I think it was 105 million they were holding out for. Rumours are they're going to chop it to about 80 million, which is what United were offering. So, like, they have to sign him, surely.
No, they'll go in with 65 now.
Yeah, probably, Scott, to be fair.
They really are your team, Ryan. Cheap bandit.
Mind you would think you were a Celtic fan then if they were going for the cheap option.
Okay, we'll let the boy speak. We'll let the boy speak.
No, it's not about being a cheap band, it's about getting a good deal.
This is you on FIFA for like the last 20 years, 10 years at least.
20 years, Jesus. Playing FIFA as a toddler.
I mean, it's that we're talking about cheap options, and it's still, and I mentioned Celtic there, it must still haunt Celtic fans that they could have had John McGinn for 2.5 million. Or 3.5, it was one of them, and they weren't willing to even go to that yet. Look at what he could be worth now.
But that's what I was kind of getting at with the extent with the Sancho thing, is that like if you sign him now, he's like 21. Like you've got a guy for over 10 years that can be like United have been looking for a number 7 in every sense of the word for a long time. Since Ronaldo left, probably the last top number 7.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, probably.
If you're serious about challenging City next season, and even whether or not they sign Haaland or not, you have to go for Sancho. Do you think it'll happen, Ryan? And do you want it to happen? I'm assuming you do.
Oh, 100% I want it to happen. I mean, I think I've said previously that apart from Greenwood, no one else can play there, because whenever Martial or Rashford are, they just disappear. They're not comfortable. So, and you can't like expect Mason Greenwood to play 60 games a season or whatever it is. Obviously, recently Dan James has come back into the team and done, all right. But for me, it's a no-brainer. And the fact that, I mean, I'm sure in some sort of perverse way they're going to be justified for not paying it last season. Like, you just have to get the checkbook out and get it done now. Especially at that price.
Are you willing to put your neck on the line and see whether you think they'll sign him or not? Yes or no?
No, because I did that last season. I said it's just a matter of time. It's not if and when, and then it just never happened. So I'm not going to do that, no.
Fair enough. I suppose the other players worth mentioning, or the other player that I haven't mentioned yet, is young Jude Bellingham, signed in the summer for 25 million. I feel like he'll probably stay. I don't see him being one of the players that would be sold, although he was included in the list of players that the BBC had that were potentially up for sale. But I feel like he's still got that kind of Dortmund development to go through.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, for most of my adult life, Dortmund have been, second, third best team in Germany. And, like, they keep selling players, but then just keep finding these absolute gems from nowhere. And it's just like a constant cycle. But I genuinely worry that this summer, if they don't make Champions League and they do have to have this sort of fire sale, I do wonder where that leaves them. Obviously, in my lifetime, like adult lifetime watching football, Dortmund have always been sort of the second or third best team, and obviously occasionally the first best team in Germany. And despite the fact they're sort of something of a selling club, obviously buy these guys young at a cheap, like ridiculous price, and then sell them on for massive profit. And that's kind of a model that's kind of they've used to great success. My worry is that this summer, whilst yes, they will recoup some funds for all the players they're selling, I'm not sure they will do that again, and we might see them kind of slide down the league quite considerably, sort of become a mid-table team. I don't know what you guys think of that.
I don't know too much about the chasing pack in terms of. I know like Mönchengladbach are having a very good season and did well in the Champions League. It seems like German football is quite a movable feast. Teams do seem to go between like 3rd and 15th pretty quickly. So, yeah, it could do. It could be. It is an unforgiving league, the Bundesliga. Yeah. So cool. Well, I think we'll call it there for today's episode. So, for those of you that are still listening, drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know who you think, whether you think Haaland and Sancho will leave in the summer, and if so, which of the giants in Europe you think they'll go to. And other than that, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us.